The theme of she married someone else but still texted me every night is about unresolved love and emotional honesty, how two people can love deeply yet be separated by choices, timing, and guilt. It explores the idea that love isn't always meant to be possessed. Sometimes it exists only to teach us what it means to feel, to forgive, and to let go. The story reveals that real love isn't about who stays in your life. It's about who changes you forever, even after they're gone. The bells were still ringing when Ethan saw her name light up his phone. "Are you okay?" That's all her message said. It was cruel, he thought. Cruel to text him minutes after promising herself to another man. He stared at the screen, his heart fighting between replying and deleting. For years, Ethan had loved her. Through silence, through rejection, through all the ways she had said no. And tonight she had said yes, just not to him. Outside his window, rain blurred the city lights. He typed slowly, "Congratulations, Alina, you got everything you wanted." Her reply came instantly. "Not everything." Ethan dropped the phone. The sound of her message echoed louder than the thunder. Ethan thought silence would heal him. He deleted her number, blocked her on every app, moved to a new apartment where the rain sounded different on the windows. But pain has its own memory. Even when the number was gone, the digits still lived in his head like scars. One night, 2:14 a.m., his phone buzzed again. Unknown number, just 2 words. "I miss you." He knew it was her. No one else used punctuation like that. Soft, quiet, with a space after the period. The kind of text you could almost hear her whisper. He didn't reply. Not that night, not the next. But she didn't stop. Every night her messages came, like rain tapping on glass. "I can't sleep. Do you think about me? I wish things were different." Ethan tried to stay strong. He'd write her message on a notepad, then tear the page and throw it away. But on the 7th night, he broke. "Ethan, you made your choice, Alina." "Alina. You think that means my heart listened?" He stared at that reply for minutes. It was like time had folded, bringing back the version of her who used to call him at 3 a.m. just to talk about dreams and fears and books that made her cry. He knew this was wrong. She was married now. But love doesn't care about right or wrong. It only remembers the last moment it felt alive. And for both of them, that moment was each other. The city hadn't changed, but Ethan had. He walked slower now, carried heavier silences, and avoided every place that reminded him of her. Except today. At 11:07 a.m., Alina texted, "Can we meet? Just for coffee. Nothing more." He almost didn't go, almost. But heartbreak is a dangerous thing. It teaches you how to lie to yourself. The cafe still smelled of vanilla and regret. She sat at their old table, wearing the same color sweater she used to wear in college. Soft beige. Gentle like her voice when she said his name. "Ethan," she whispered. He didn't sit, not right away. He looked at her hands, no ring. She noticed. "I took it off," she said quietly. "Does he know?" He doesn't ask questions anymore. Silence. That kind of silence where every unspoken word hangs between two people, like broken glass. "Why did you text me?" he asked. "Because I can't talk to anyone else." "You shouldn't talk to me either. But I still think of you every night, Ethan." The sound of his name in her voice was a wound reopening. He wanted to hate her, to remind her of all those rejections, all those times she said no when his heart begged for yes. But sitting there, she didn't look like the girl who rejected him. She looked like the woman who regretted it. She reached across the table, her fingers trembling. "Tell me you don't miss me and I'll never text you again." Ethan looked at her, really looked, and wished he could lie. But lies had built this entire story. "I miss you every day, Alina." Her eyes filled with tears, and for a second, just a second, she smiled like she used to, before everything fell apart. The waiter brought coffee. Neither of them drank it. That evening, Alina went home before the rain started. She stood in front of the mirror, her hair still smelling faintly of the cafe, her heart louder than her footsteps. Daniel, and her husband, was sitting on the couch, reading like he always did. Calm, predictable, safe. When he looked up, his eyes went straight to her left hand. "You forgot your ring again." It wasn't a question. It was an observation that carried quiet accusation. She forced a smile. "I took it off to wash the dishes." "You didn't cook today." He didn't say more, just turned the page of his book. But she could feel it. The distance between them had finally become visible. That night she lay awake. Every time her phone buzzed, she flinched. Not because she was afraid of Ethan texting, But because she was afraid of Daniel noticing, at 1:48 a.m., a message arrived. Ethan, you shouldn't come back. It'll only hurt more. Alina, it already hurts. She stared at the screen until her vision blurred. Meanwhile, Daniel walked quietly to the kitchen, pretending to get water. He saw the light from her phone, the reflection of Ethan's name on the wall. He didn't say a word. He just watched her typing something with tears in her eyes. The next morning, the silence was different, heavier, like a storm waiting for thunder. Daniel placed his coffee cup on the table and said softly, Alina, who is Ethan? She froze. The world stopped breathing. The lies she'd been building for months cracked open. And in that moment, she knew she was going to lose everything. It was a Sunday morning, quiet, gray, and cold. Ethan was writing when the knock came. 3 slow, heavy knocks. When he opened the door, Daniel was standing there, still, calm but with eyes that had seen too much. You're Ethan, right? Yes. Daniel didn't step in, didn't raise his voice. He just handed Ethan a folded piece of paper. She told me to give this to you. Ethan's heartbeat quickened. The paper smelled faintly of Alina's perfume, jasmine and sorrow. Daniel turned to leave. I don't want drama, he said quietly. I just want her back. Ethan stood frozen as Daniel walked away. He unfolded the note. It was written in her handwriting, delicate, beautiful, broken. I can't stop thinking about you, but every time I do, I hurt him too. Maybe love isn't about choosing who we want. Maybe it's about learning who we can't live without. I'm sorry, Ethan, please don't hate me. Ethan sat on the floor reading it again and again. Until the ink started to blur, he realized she wasn't choosing between 2 men. She was choosing between guilt and love. Later that evening, the door knocked again. But this time it wasn't Daniel. It was Alina, eyes red, hands trembling. Her first words barely made it out through her tears. He knows everything. Ethan's chest tightened. Then why are you here? Because he asked me one question I couldn't answer. What question? Do you love him more than me? Ethan stared at her, every word she'd ever said echoing in his mind. And when she stepped closer, shaking, he finally understood that love wasn't about possession, it was about pain shared in silence. They didn't speak for a while. Ethan and Alina sat on the edge of the bed, a familiar distance between them, like ghosts afraid to touch. Outside, rain whispered against the window, soft but endless. He asked me to stay, she said quietly. And you? I told him I didn't know where home was anymore. Her voice broke on the word home. Ethan turned away, unable to look at her. He wanted to tell her to leave him, to go fix her marriage, to make things right. But the truth was, he didn't want to lose her again. You think this ends with us happy? He finally asked. I don't know. I just know I feel alive when I'm with you, and dead when you're not. Something like that. She moved closer, her hand brushing his, hesitant, trembling, guilty. I've ruined everything, haven't I? No, Ethan said. You just proved you're human. Tears rolled down her cheeks, slow, silent, like confessions too late to matter. I wish I'd chosen you first, she whispered. You still can. It's not that simple. He's been kind. He's done nothing wrong. How do I break a man who never hurt me? Ethan's eyes filled. By being honest. That's how love hurts the least. She took a deep breath. One of those breaths you take before your whole life changes. Then she stood slowly. If I walk out now, there's no going back. Then don't look back, he said. For a second, she looked at him, the man who had always waited. Then she turned toward the door, her fingers still trembling. She opened it and froze. Daniel was standing there, soaked from the rain, eyes hollow. No shouting, no anger, just a single line that shattered the air. I told you, Alina. Love isn't something you sneak away to find. It's something you stay to fix. Alina covered her face, sobbing. Daniel stepped back, letting her choose. She turned to Ethan, her heart split in two. Ethan. He didn't move, didn't beg. He just whispered, Go where your peace lives, not your guilt. And she walked away. The rain outside grew louder, or maybe that was Ethan's heart breaking for the last time. When the door finally closed, Ethan smiled through tears. Because love, he realized, didn't need to be returned to be real. Sometimes it just needed to be felt. It had been 6 months since that night in the rain. Ethan moved again. New city, new apartment, same silence. He'd deleted her number for real this time. Though sometimes his fingers still typed it by memory, only to stop at the last digit. He'd published his first book, a collection of short stories about love and loss. The dedication page simply said, "For the one who taught me that goodbye can still mean love." He thought that was the end, until one morning an envelope arrived. No sender name, just his address, written in her handwriting. Inside was a letter dated 2 months earlier. "Ethan, I don't know if I have the right to write this. Maybe I just needed you to know that. I did what you told me to. I went where my peace lived. Daniel and I are rebuilding slowly. He knows I still think of you sometimes. I think that's why he tries harder to make me laugh. I don't know what love means anymore, but I'm learning it's not about fire. Sometimes it's about staying when everything tells you to run. But please don't think that means you were a mistake. You were my reminder that I could still feel, that my heart wasn't numb, that someone once looked at me and truly saw me. I'll never forget you, not because of what we had, but because of what you gave. A version of myself I thought I'd lost. If you ever write about us, don't make me the villain. Don't make yourself the hero. Just make it honest. Alina." Ethan folded the letter carefully and placed it between the pages of his new manuscript. Then he looked out the window. The sky was clear for the first time in weeks. He didn't cry this time. He just smiled softly and whispered to no one, "She finally found her peace." And so did I. As he closed the window, his phone buzzed a new message. "Unknown number. I just finished your book." It felt like something I once lived. He stared at it, smiled faintly, and typed back, "Maybe we all did." And for the first time in years, he turned off his phone. Not because he was waiting for silence, but because he was finally ready for peace.